welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you can tell by the title, I'm bringing you guys a little travelling Q&A. Now, I'm sure many of you guys know I am actually going travelling this year, and if you didn't know, then where have you been living? Because I feel like it's all I've mentioned for the past few months. But despite it being everything that I've mentioned, I feel like I've not really given you like the ins and outs of me going travelling, and I know a lot of you guys have a lot of questions in regards to like my route, where I'm going, who I'm going with, and all that jazz. So I thought I would condense a lot of the questions into one video, and then hopefully it answers most of your guys' questions. But if I have missed anything out and I've not answered one of your questions, then be sure to leave them in the comment section down below, because I will reply to as many as I can. And if you're not following me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube and all my other social media, then you definitely should. It's always linked down below, and I'll also put some of it on the screen as well. I'm going to be documenting my whole travelling journey on my YouTube, my Instagram and my TikTok, so you definitely don't want to miss out on any of that. But yeah, without further ado, I feel like we should just get on into the questions, because that is what you guys are here for. I'm obviously going to have a lot more travelling content coming your way, so if that is something that you are interested in, please do stick around. Yeah, I'm just kind of experimenting, seeing where life takes me at the minute, and just sort of going with the flow. So if you do enjoy my content, please do stick around, because it does mean the world to me. But yeah, like I said, let's go ahead and answer some questions. So I actually asked you guys on Instagram to send me some questions, so I have all the questions on my phone. And yeah, like I said, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you definitely should, because that is a lot of the time where I will ask you guys for questions for Q&As and things like that, and I often answer questions just on my Instagram alone as well. So there's a lot of opportunities for me to answer your questions over on Instagram. But the first question is, who am I going travelling with? So I have actually mentioned this in a previous video, but obviously there might be new people and also might be people who have just forgotten. But I'm actually just going travelling with my boyfriend. So me and my boyfriend Harvey have been together for 3 years, and throughout the whole time of us being together, our shared goals in life was to travel the world. And obviously last year I actually went to Australia, and I absolutely loved it. So then since coming back from that, me and Harvey decided that this was going to be the year that we were going to go travelling. We want to go travelling before we get a house, before we have kids, before we like start settling down or anything. So it just worked out perfectly that this year was the year. So yeah, it's just going to be me and Harvey, which is going to be really weird, because me and Harvey don't even live with each other. We've never spent any more than like 3 weeks at a time with each other. Other than that, we've been long distance for our whole relationship. So we would see each other like once every 2 weeks, and it would be on a weekend, so it'd be like 3 days at a time. So this in itself is a big step, but it also is a big step for our relationship, because we've never lived with each other. Like, it's going to be so new to us, but it's also really exciting, and we are both so excited. Like, we feel like we are ready for this step. But it is also going to be weird, because I'm not going to see any of my friends and any of my family during the time that I'm away. I'm literally only going to have Harvey. Obviously, when I went to Australia, I went with Haz, Anna, Byron and Sophie, and it was obviously just a completely different vibe to what it's going to be with me and Harvey. But yeah, it's just the two of us, and like I said, I am very excited. I'm sure we'll meet a lot of friends on the journey, but initially it's just going to be the two of us. The next question is, where are you visiting whilst you go, like what countries, etc. So we currently plan on visiting 9 countries. This is in no particular order, but some of the countries that we plan on visiting are Australia, Vietnam, Thailand, Bali, Philippines, Singapore, Cambodia and Laos. Where have I missed? I've missed somewhere, because that's 8. Malaysia, that's why I missed Malaysia. But yeah, so 9 countries are the ones that we plan on travelling to. So obviously in no particular order, they were the ones that we are going to go to, and I'm very excited. We obviously originally were planning for 6 months, so 9 countries in 6 months, but these plans could change. We don't have a return flight, we're on a one-way ticket, so it's likely that we could go to other places or we might not, but we will definitely be going to them 9 places over the time period in which we are travelling. The next question is, am I taking a suitcase or a backpack when I go travelling? So I'm actually taking a backpack. I took a backpack with me to Australia, and personally I just think it's so much easier. I've never actually taken a suitcase with me on like a long backpacking trip, but when I was in Australia, I obviously met a lot of people, and I feel like Australia, you can get away with having a suitcase because the public transport and the ways in which you're traveling is not too rural. It's not like you don't get around on motorbikes and things like that. So I feel like you can get around with a suitcase quite easily in Australia. But saying that, everybody who I met in Australia with a suitcase, all their wheels had melted whilst they were there. So they'd either gone through like 2, 3, 4 suitcases during their time in Australia, because obviously with it being so hot, their wheels just melted, and them having to run for the bus whilst dragging a suitcase was really hard. Whereas, not gonna lie, running with a backpack on your back, which is like 20 kg, is really hard, but it's a lot easier than trying to drag a suitcase that's broken. I am gonna be taking a backpack with me because, as well, like I say, in places like Thailand, Bali, a lot of their modes of transport is like mopeds and stuff like that. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to ride on a moped with a suitcase, but I can put my backpack on my back. Do you know what I mean? So that is why I'm taking a backpack. I feel like you get used to the weight of it as well. Like when I was in Australia, yeah, it did start off feeling quite heavy, but by the end of the trip, I kind of got used to the weight, so it didn't feel too bad. So do whatever you want. From my personal experience and from the people that I've met, I feel like a backpack is probably easier. Okay, so following on from that question, the next question is, what backpack are you taking and how much did it cost? So I'm actually taking the same backpack with me that I took to Australia. So if you've watched any of my Australia vlogs, obviously you'll know kind of what the backpack looks like. But I do have it next to me so that I can show you guys. It does actually already have some stuff in, so it's quite heavy. This is the backpack that I'm taking. It's just from Mountain Warehouse, and I believe it's a 60 litre or a 65. I think it's a 60 litre, but this is what it looks like. And it also comes with another backpack here, which again has got some stuff in ready, and this backpack actually can attach onto the front of this backpack. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see, but there is like a zip here, and that is where the little backpack can zip onto it. When I was in Australia, I did actually unzip this though, because I was using the little backpack for like day trips and stuff like that, and it was just a little bit easier to carry as it helped distribute the weight a little bit more, because obviously having all that weight on my back, it like obviously weighed me down a little bit, so it was nice to sometimes have it at the front to make it a little bit easier. This is from Mountain Warehouse. I cannot think what the name is off the top of my head, but if I can find it online I will, because my boyfriend actually recently just picked it up himself, because obviously I absolutely love this backpack. It didn't do me any wrong. It was really comfy on my back. Obviously there's so many different types of backpacks that you can get, and I think choosing the right backpack can be quite daunting. I feel like everyone really paints it out as you have to pick the right one. The best thing that I can recommend is going into a store and trying them on, because the backpacks feel completely different when they're empty to when they're full. And when we went to Mountain Warehouse, when we were first looking, the guy in there was super helpful. He showed us how to put the backpack on correctly, so then the weight was like more on our hips than our shoulders. And we also tried it in with like weighted dumbbells, and some places they actually do have weighted bags that you can put in the backpack, and that just really helps give you a gist of how the backpack is going to sit and if you feel like it's comfortable. My backpack doesn't actually have metal rods in it. I found that the metal rods were actually really uncomfortable on my back, whereas this one doesn't have any metal rods in it. Sorry, I just realised this actually isn't zipped open, but yeah, mine has like a zip to cover your like straps and everything, which is perfect for like when it's going under the plane, so none of it gets broken. But yeah, as you can see, mine doesn't have any of like the metal supports that like keep the bag straight. But I did just find that the metal rods like started to dig into my back when I tried them on, so I decided to go with this, because at the end of the day, comfort is key. And like I said, this didn't do me wrong in Australia, so hopefully it's not going to do me any wrong for this year's traveling either. But yeah, I absolutely love this, and I love the fact that obviously it has this zip compartment flap which covers your straps. so when your straps don't get damaged. And then it also has like other sections obviously inside as well. This does fully zip open, and you can also access stuff from the bottom as well. This bottom pouch also zips fully open as well, so everything is easy to access. Perfect for if you've accidentally put something in the bottom of your bag that you really need. You're not having to go through from directly at the top. That's one thing that I found from a lot of backpacks. It's just an entry point at the top, and knowing me and knowing how forgetful I am, I do often put things at the bottom of my suitcase or the bottom of my bag that I do need, and at the last minute trying to like grab it and then having to pull everything out would not be ideal. This I can just zip open and then I can find it. It's really easy. But I am going to do a separate video of what I'm going to pack, and I will mention a little bit more about my backpack in that video. So if you are interested in what I'm going to be taking with me, then do keep your eyes peeled because it is coming soon. But yeah, it's from Mountain Warehouse, 60 litre with a 20 litre backpack, and I will leave a link to it in the description box down below as well in case anybody else is interested in getting the same backpack. I think they do actually do it in different colours as well, but I just went with black just for the aesthetics really. The next question is, how did you start your travel plans? I'm currently planning mine and I don't know where to start. So this, I completely understand where you're coming from. I felt very overwhelmed when I first started like planning the idea of me going traveling. You know, there's so many different places, so many different recommendations from people, but then other people are saying that that place isn't good, and you know, it's just a lot of information to process all at once. So what I would suggest doing initially is writing down a list of the places that you want to go to. So it doesn't matter if somebody else has said that they wouldn't want to go to that. This is about you. It's your traveling. You do what you want to do. Once you've got that list, then you can start diving into each individual place and then seeing where you want to go from there. So for example, in Thailand, do you want to go to Chiang Mai? Do you want to go to Chiang Rai? Do you want to go to Pai? Do you want to go to Phuket? Do you want to go to Krabi? And just start listing all the different places that you think you want to go. And then from there, you can obviously delve into all the different details as well, like when's the best time to go. You know, you want to research when's the best time to go to Thailand, when's the best time to go to Vietnam, because there's obviously rainy season and there's also burning season as well. So that is definitely something you want to keep in mind. But then also, depending on the time of year that you want to go, will obviously differ in the price. So I would just, for starting point, write down the places that you want to go, whether that just be the countries and not each individual place within it, and then just sort of go from there. Obviously TikTok is a really big help. I found that TikTok, I use it as more of like a search engine nowadays, and I can just type in like things to do in Chiang Mai and it will come up with so many different TikToks of people suggesting different things, and you can just kind of take notes from each person. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent on them. Obviously I'm going to be having content coming out over the next few months and I'm going to share my honest opinions, so I will let you guys know as well like my routes and stuff like that further down the line. Or if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. So the next question is, do you have a set route planned for your travels? So we do have a set route planned for our travels, and although I'm not going to share that at this moment in time, but we do have a planned route. So we have like a start and an end throughout the whole time that we've sort of planned to travel. However, we don't have an exact date of ending because we don't know how long it's going to take us to travel in between some of these places, and some of these places we're doing it a little bit more freestyle because we have a little bit more time. Other places we're working on a visa, so we only have a set amount of days in a certain place. So it's going to be very much a mixture, and obviously like I say, we don't know when we're going to be coming home. We don't know if we're going to go somewhere and absolutely love it and want to extend our stay there. So obviously in upcoming videos you guys will get to know the route a little bit better, because you'll see my content that I'm posting after I have left said place. But yeah, so I'm sorry I can't go too much into detail about that right now, but like I said, I will be posting it as and when we are leaving each destination, so you'll see eventually how my route is planned out. But then obviously by the time I'm coming like home, or when like I stay somewhere, I can give a little rundown of my previous routes that I have done, if that makes sense. I feel like I've really explained this really terribly. The next question somebody asked is, what is a dream destination that you've not planned to travel to? So this is actually quite interesting because me and Harvey were on about this the other day when we were discussing like what our plans are going to be in terms of like coming home, when we think we might be coming home, and we mentioned this one dream destination which we both really want to go to, which is Japan. I would absolutely love to go to Japan. It is, like I say, a dream travel destination, and we said we would honestly love to do it during this traveling route. However, we just don't think we're going to have the money for Japan during this time because I don't know, I just feel like Japan's expensive. I haven't actually researched too much into it, but I feel like Japan is somewhere I'd want to spend a lot of time, and I think within the route of which we've obviously planned for our travelling, we would maybe be going like towards the end, and obviously naturally we're not going to have as much money as what we did at the start at the end, so we just feel like we're not going to have enough funds to cover it. Obviously circumstances could change and we could end up going, but Japan is definitely a dream destination, and we said that even if we don't get the chance to do it like this year, we will definitely go at some point in our life, even if it's just for like a holiday or something like that. We definitely do want to go. So Japan is definitely like a dream travel destination. The next question is, what are the prices of everything? So obviously this question is a little bit hard to answer because prices of everything is different depending on the area in which you are, the time in which you travel and all that jazz. So I obviously will speak more about money and price of things over on like my TikTok and obviously in the vlogs like whilst I'm away. Definitely follow me on TikTok because I am going to do like rundowns of like what I spend in a day in like certain places, and obviously I will be able to answer more questions on my TikTok because it'll be more of like an everyday thing. Same with my Instagram as well. But yeah, it's a little bit hard to give like estimates and rundowns of money because not everything we've actually booked either. We've booked accommodation for some of the places that we are visiting, but we've not booked really any tours as of yet because certain places are easier to book when you're there, others easier to book before you actually go. Like Australia, for example. Australia is somewhere that I would recommend booking in advance because especially if you're going during like the peak season, which is like November to February, it's going to be very busy. Everyone's going to be traveling like the East Coast, so a lot of hostels, a lot of tours, activities and all that jazz do get booked up quite far in advance, so you definitely want to be booking them. But in places in Southeast Asia it's not as difficult, so that is, yeah, it's a little bit of a tricky one to answer at this moment in time, but I will eventually answer it, like I say, on my TikTok, YouTube and Instagram as well. Okay, so the final question is, what vaccines did you have to get for travelling Southeast Asia and Australia? So vaccines, again, can be a very intimidating thing and quite a lot of information to process all at once, but I would definitely recommend speaking to your GP because not every vaccine is suitable for every person, and obviously if you've had previous vaccines in school or just like from before of travelling, then you might not need to get certain vaccines either. But I will give you the rundown of the vaccines that I have got, then you guys know kind of what it entails. There is also a website which I'll link down below as well, which you can search like the place in which you're visiting and see what vaccines are recommended. But the vaccines that I had are rabies. So rabies consisted of 3 different jabs, which obviously is not fun. I'm someone who doesn't like needles at all, and yeah, having the vaccine process done has not been the best, but it has to be done. Then I got hepatitis A. I only need 1 of these because I've had one previously in the past. Then I also got typhoid as well. Tetanus is one that you need to have, but I've actually already had this during school and it lasts for 10 years. So because I'm only 23 currently, it still lasts for me and I will be covered during the time that I'm there. So I didn't have to re-get the tetanus or the polio. That was it, polio. And it was like, it begins with a D. Tetanus, polio, and it begins with a D. And then my measles, mumps and rubella I've also had, so I didn't need to get that either. But like I said, speak to your doctor, speak to your GP, and they can advise you better on which ones are more suited for you. See, some of them come free on the NHS. I think you can get your Hep A on the NHS, your tetanus on the NHS, and then the rest of them you unfortunately do have to go private. So obviously when you are budgeting for your trip, make sure you keep in mind money for your vaccinations as well, because they are expensive, like they're not cheap. And obviously I didn't get every single vaccine that was recommended to me. I just got the ones that I thought fit me best, so I could have spent a lot more money, but obviously do your research, because at the end of the day it's your body, you choose what you want to do with it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and end this video here, and that is all the questions that I'm going to be answering. Hopefully I answered enough questions for you guys to get a bit of an understanding, but if I did miss out any questions, then feel free to leave them down below in the comment section and I'll try and reply to as many as I can. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, as well as subscribing to my YouTube, because that is where I'm going to be documenting all of my traveling journey. And yeah, you can stay up to date with what I'm doing and where I've been, what I'm up to, who I'm with, and all that jazz. And yeah, I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I will see you very, very soon with another one. Bye.